Greetings. Hello, all. Welcome back. All that other wonderful stuff. I want to talk about now. I did watch AEW tonight. I will do another video on AEW over the next couple of days. I'll probably do one after Rampage, where I'll take what happened on tonight's episode of Dynamite and then combine it with Rampage, and we'll have a discussion about how great Malakai Black is. But seriously, fantastic. One of the measures of a good wrestler is being able to get a crowd that's cheering them to boo them, to make the crowd boo them, and he does that. So I did watch Cobra Kai. I powered through it, and I mean binged. Like, I went seasons 1 through 3. It had to be 2 weeks, maybe. And really, in all honesty, a lot of it is because once I get into it, and once I know how much I enjoy a show like that, I'm going to want to watch the whole thing. There are parts that scream in the back of my brain. I've watched, I think Yvonne and I we're into the second season. So Yvonne's only watched partway into season 2, and she's already said a couple of times, where are the teachers? It's a great question. It's a question that isn't actually asked in the show until I think the start of season 3. Towards the end of season 2 is especially a where are the teachers moment. And there are also moments of, why didn't anybody phone the police? Like, I get it. It's a TV show and you take yourself out of it. But there are definitely moments where I'm like, okay, somebody's definitely calling the cops here. Somebody is definitely phoning. Why is nobody calling the cops? You telling me Daniel's house doesn't have any security cameras? That seems like a stretch. If I have security cameras in my house in the security system, and Daniel LaRusso has security cameras set up, and even if the system's shut off because, Sam's there and people are there, he still has cameras. He can still review things. I'm pretty sure of that. But that's the one thing that for me stands out. Really what pushed me towards watching it, there were a few things. First off, when I was reading the synopsis and I thought, okay, so it doesn't portray Johnny as just being evil or Daniel as just being great. So it kind of starts off with Daniel being the antagonist and Johnny being the protagonist. And I was like, I'm down for this. I am down for the idea that whiner, Daniel, who has been whining through 3 movies, is now the bad guy. Thank you. Because there were moments, not necessarily in the first movie, but in the second and third movie where I'm like, I don't know if I really want to root for this guy. So I'm going to try not to spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it. I'm going to say this. If you're on the fence, absolutely 100% watch it. It is absolutely fantastic. Why, yes, this is an Asuka t-shirt. Thanks for noticing. I actually was wearing this morning. I was going to do a jersey video on the Hockey Guy channel, and then I ended up doing 3 career videos instead. So, it happens. I'll just do the jersey video tomorrow morning. I was going to do it tonight, and then I thought, I'll do it tomorrow morning. But really, the show is just, there's so many good moments in this. Not only that, but while I was never a fan of Karate Kid 2 or 3, I will say this, 2 tried something different, and then 3 went, we don't want different. We'd like to do something the same. Thanks. Can we do the first movie again? Why not? This series has made me want to go back and watch Karate Kid Part 3. Movie I didn't like. It's made me think, I need to go back and rewatch Karate Kid Part 2. Also a movie I wasn't a big fan of. And I wasn't a big fan of Part 2 because him and Allie just break up at the start of Part 2, and then he has a new girlfriend before the movie's over. And I'm like, how long did that take? So it just, and I know as a teenager these things happen, but it just seemed weird to me that the whole first movie he's falling in love. This is the love of his life, and start of the second movie, heck with her. Now we're done. Okay, sure, fine. Who's that girl? She's pretty. Okay, come on, Daniel, focus. The other reason that I decided, I want to watch this is because I was looking at who's in the cast. And the same actress who played Sheldon's twin sister, who is in one episode of The Big Bang Theory, and then she's never there again. I don't even think Missy's mentioned again. And I always thought, what happened to that actress? And then I was like, oh, she's in Cobra Kai. Oh, she's Daniel's wife. And I have to say in this series, she's fantastic. Her reaction to situations involving the kids is how a parent, I think, would react. Her reaction to grown men, my age and older, still fighting over karate from their teenage years, her reaction's exactly where I would think most women would be with that. Like, oh, you're fighting with the guy you had a karate fight with in high school? Really? You haven't got past that yet? No? Oh, okay. Sure. And they mock it. They even get into whether or not the crane kick was legal, and that goes right into season 3 as well, where they still, at some point, Johnny and Daniel talk about whether or not it was a legal kick. And, I have to say, it was very entertaining to watch. John Kreese is a horrible human being. I think they waited until the right time to bring him in. And I don't think I'm giving any spoilers for anybody that John Kreese does show up in this show. And you can tell what they're setting up for season 4, that it's going to be a tournament. They've already done the teaser trailer that there's going to be a tournament. So season 4 is going to be preparation for and going through another tournament. The creators of the show have said that they have 6 seasons plotted out, and they also have the potential for other shows, other properties out of this, an expanded universe kind of thing. It's Marvel created this whole thing, didn't they? Marvel cinematically created this whole thing that now other people are like, we can do this. I have to say, I was never a fan of Karate Kid Part 2, in part because the whole fight to the death thing, I thought, well, they're not going to kill Daniel, and clearly he's not going to kill the other guy. So, but in the show, I have to say, Chosen, I never was a fan of the name, but Chosen might be my favorite character in the whole show. And so I'm going to get into spoilers, so if you haven't watched it, by all means, shut this video off now and go watch it, and then come back and watch this video. You ready? All right, so when Chosen meets Daniel in Japan, and he's cranky, but he's doing things for him, and I take that as because it's a life debt, right? Like you didn't kill him when you had the chance, so he owes you. So he goes and gets, I don't drink, I don't care, whatever, I'll get you a drink. And he's just so ornery, and I was like, this could be a series of just this ornery Japanese gentleman who just does nice things for other people, but is always cranky when he does it. And he gets people off guard, and they're kind of nervous. I also thought Daniel's wife is very understanding about him going over to Japan to save their business and hanging out with his old girlfriend. I thought, Daniel, this really isn't why you went over there. And yet the writers make sure that it circles back. And it circles back to the second movie, and it makes it all work. The only... And in some cases, these are the only segments that take me out of the show and make it feel to me almost like a Saturday Night Live sketch. If you've watched, you might know where I'm going with this. Is when they're reminiscing, and you can see them off to this side, and this side of the screen is the memory they're describing. And it looks so weird that to me it feels like a comedy sketch. And it's hard for me to pay attention when Daniel's reminiscing when the memory is showing up here. It's weird. It's really bizarre. Elizabeth Shue, when she showed up in season 3, I think that's the best she's looked in a show in a long time. And I watched her in The Boys. I know she's in The Boys as well. But in The Boys, she wasn't Allie, right? Allie's cute. She's a nice girl. She's, girl next door type. So, she looked girl next doorish. And one thing with Elizabeth Shue is she doesn't look completely different than she did all those years ago, just like Johnny doesn't. And Ralph Macchio has not changed. He hasn't. And his mannerisms are still the same as they were when he was a teenage actor. None of it's changed. I do hope that in season 4 they redeem Tori. I think the really, really psychotic, angry Tori that's fine. But I'd like to see her character redeemed and something else there. I would like to see her character something other than I'm just going to kill Sam. Unless that becomes a series as well. Just Tori wandering around looking for Sam on the off chance she might kill her and helping people out. Sort of like a Littlest Hobo kind of thing where she goes from town to town and she's looking for Sam and she helps somebody out with problem with some local thugs. And, I don't... It's just... It's a strange show that way. That people do seem to get kind of murdery on the show. They seem to progress to, I think I'm going to have to resort to murder surprisingly fast. Now, I watched a review, or, well, it wasn't a review, it was really a slam video on Riverdale, which is a show I was going to watch, but now after seeing some of these reviews and some of the just everybody tearing the show apart, I'm like, I don't know if I can watch that. I don't know if I can handle that. That just sounds so stupid. So I'm now kind of thinking I'm not going to do Riverdale. I'd have to watch Twilight, I would think, if I was going to do Riverdale. And people don't want me to review well, not if they like Twilight. If they hate Twilight, they love my reviews. But and that's yeah, that takes me back. Um, but I do think that with season 4 coming up, they have to have the whole Sam Miguel thing put to rest. The Johnny Daniel thing should be the two of them working together and still arguing, still having arguments over whose style is better and which way to fight is better. So throughout, you've got Cobra Kai, which is a great name for a dojo. Agreed. Miyagi-Do, which is an okay name for a dojo, I guess. I always took Miyagi-Do in the first Karate Kid movie as just well, whatever. Like, we need a name, so Miyagi-Do it is. And then there's Eagle's Fang, which Johnny came up with for another dojo. And, of course, I thought the same thing that was said by one of the kids. Eagles don't have fangs. And so it makes it really funny. Now, me, personally, as a person who wears a lot of t-shirts, I wear jerseys for hockey videos, but generally during the summer, I'm wearing t-shirts more often than not. I immediately went on Amazon and I'm like, can I find Cobra Kai shirts? You bet I found Cobra Kai shirts. I found Cobra Kai, Miyagi-Do, and the Eagle Fang t-shirt, as well as a Cobra Kai sweatshirt. So I'm going to have some fun with that in videos at some point. I don't know whether I'm going to do it on this video or on the hockey channel. It might be more surprising and funny if I did it on the hockey channel. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I'm all caught up, so nobody can spoil anything for me now. I do think that Daniel immediately would have phoned the police after finding out there were a bunch of people fighting in his house. I honestly am very surprised he didn't just phone the cops, because that's what normal people would do, is phone the police in that situation. But instead he goes off and picks a fight with Kreese. So, I mean, it was Kreese that was responsible for it, but still. And I don't know how far this is going to go. Like, there's part of me thinking, okay, so is Kreese going to die at some point? Like, what is the end game here? I don't know. I don't know how far this is going to go. Like, it's Valley Karate. Like, it's not. It really shouldn't be. All the times Kreese is like, and your enemy's in war, and I'm like, okay, John, you need to bring it down just a little bit of intensity, a little bit too high. Bring it down. I also didn't notice until I was reading a review for a season 3 episode. I didn't even notice Aisha wasn't in this year. She wasn't in the series at all, and I didn't notice. I would like to see expanded roles for Moon in season 4 if she's back. I would assume she's back, right? I would like to see an expanded role for her. I'd like to see something with Hawk / Eli and Dimitri that... I mean, they patched it up, but I thought that was weird too. I was like, wait, now he feels bad? Now he feels bad. Is it because Kyler's in the group and he's starting to realize, well, Kyler's a bit of a dick, so that means like, is that what it... Because the moment you snap somebody's arm, it should snap something up here to go, I think I just went too far. I think I... But again, nobody calls the cops for a broken arm. Nobody... There's no, like... Robbie ends up with, a parole officer, and so does Tori, and I'm thinking, okay, everybody in Cobra Kai should need a parole officer right now. I don't... Or probation officer. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand. It's just, and I know that's their universe and that's their whole thing, but it's weird. It's so bizarre. But I'm hooked. I'm looking forward to next season. I think it is a very talented cast. I think the casting is absolutely spot on. The actors and actresses in this show are fantastic. And the one thing that I thought was funny was that you could tell for season 3 that Sam's younger brother, Anthony, that the actor had gone through a growth spurt. that he had really sprung up over the time that they hadn't been filming, to where he's like had like a foot taller and a lot skinnier. So he's in like I think one scene. I think we see him once, and he gets sent to the car, and that's just it. And I thought, okay, so because he suddenly sprung up, and the difference between the two seasons is supposed to be like what 2 weeks, a week, 2 weeks. That doesn't work. That he's that much bigger. So we're just gonna shove him aside. And there's rumors too that the younger son is going to be a bigger part of the next season. And of course, there's Robbie with Kreese, and you could see where it was all lining up. Robbie's going to be with Kreese, Miguel's going to be with Johnny, Sam's going to be with her dad, and that whatever happens with the tournament, it's going to come down to the combination of those three. Kyler's probably going to be in it. He'll be up against Hawk at some point, Hawk slash Eli, right? So you can see how the whole tournament's going to shake down, and I'm there. I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. Apparently, season 4 comes out in December. They haven't given the exact date yet, but it's an enjoyable show. And so yeah, I was like, yeah, I have nope. That's a fun idea to have the Karate Kid merch, because then I can drive her crazy with the Cobra Kai. I can just throw on a shirt for whichever part of the show I want to talk about and just start quoting it and just start talking like it. I've already had to watch myself, because the way that Johnny talks in it and just how clueless he is, I'm like, man, that's kind of fun. So it's kind of fun to just chat like that and talk like that. And yeah, he is a very entertaining character, which interestingly enough, in the original Karate Kid movie, he was as stock of a villain as you could get. Those Cobra Kai kids were as stock of villains as you could get. And in this show, when they kill off one of the members of Cobra Kai, I admit I teared up. And I'm talking about the original Cobra Kais. And it was great to see all of them together again. Made me feel old seeing them all together again. But it was great to see them and them getting into a bar fight and all of that. I thought was really, really good. So I'm hoping that the former member of Cobra Kai, is it Bobby that's the preacher? I'm hoping he's in the next season as well, and that they really get into that. Get into the idea of Johnny trying to make amends and fix things in his life. And, maybe then circle back with Robbie, and then maybe him and Robbie can have a relationship. If there's 6 seasons out, or if they're planning on 6 seasons altogether, I would think the end game is to have Robbie end up, patching things up with his father, probably patching things up with Miguel. I would think Tori gets her act together, probably ends up with Robbie. I think that's where that's headed. And yeah, and then the rest of it, I have no idea. When Yaz was making out with Dimitri in that last episode, I admit I laughed. And that's the thing too, is if I'm actually watching a show and I'm actually laughing out loud, that's a measure, isn't it? Like, there's so few shows now, even comedies, where I find myself actually laughing at what I'm seeing on the screen and laughing at the lines. And in Cobra Kai, I do it a lot. And what's good about the show too is that it can go from being something where you're laughing at what's going on to being something where, and then a few moments later, you're really nervous because there's a really dangerous situation going on. So, good writing, good direction. It acknowledges that all of the movies took place except the next Karate Kid. Hilary Swank, no mention of her, but I wouldn't be surprised if that gets mentioned at some point too. I honestly would be kind of surprised if at some point that doesn't come up, that Hilary Swank was the next Karate Kid at one point. And that movie got a lot of hate at the time. I never really understood why. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a half-decent movie. Obviously not as good as the original Karate Kid, but what is? So, I like how all the lore has been kind of all incorporated. I don't know that you could get Hilary Swank for the series. I don't know if they would want to recast the actress that was, the next Karate Kid, or if they'd even want to touch that. But I think it would be an interesting story. It was great to see the actor who played Chosen. It was great to see Kamiko. There was one thing I want to mention, though. The Daniel LaRusso, at one point in that episode, called her Kumiko. And I'm like, it's not Kumiko, it's Kamiko. And then he got it right every time after that, where he's like, Kamiko, Kamiko. And I thought, wait, would somebody actually get their ex-girlfriend's name wrong? Could that happen? And I thought, so that was one thing Imagine being like, who's Kumiko? Her name's Kumiko, but it's minor little things like that. But very good show, very enjoyable, definitely worth the watch. And I'm glad enough people recommended it, and that it was in the back of my mind to watch that, because it really was one of my favorite movies in the '80s. Was The Karate Kid. Growing up unpopular myself, the idea of the unpopular kid in school getting his vengeance against the bullies sounded good to me. Although I knew watching that movie, I kept thinking, man, you'd just die if you were getting bullied. The bullies would murder you. You would be dead. This movie is very, while it portrays the bullies as jerks, doesn't portray them as nearly as sadistic or awful as they could be. And maybe that's what this show's getting right. Maybe that's what Cobra Kai's getting right, that the movies maybe got wrong. The idea that, yeah, nothing's sacred to them when they're crazy, and here we are. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. It means a lot. Channel's getting very close to 18,000 subscribers. Thank you, each and every one of you who've hit subscribe. I will talk to you again soon.